You are listening to Tears of a Father, a podcast about life, fatherhood, and the highs and lows that come with it. My name's Andrew, and I'm just a blue-collar dad who's been through the ringer. This is my story, one about love, struggle, and finding ways to keep pushing forward, even when life tried to knock me down. You're going to hear stuff in this story that may trigger you. You're going to hear stuff in this story that may not politically be correct, but this is unfiltered. It's raw. It's a podcast about fatherhood. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you a voice. And no, this may not be my full story. This is a very shortened down version of my story as a father. But as the season goes on, if I don't have fathers that are emailing me trying to get their story out there, I'll go in more in depth and details about my fatherhood journey. But I do encourage you to go ahead and follow and then listen. Share this podcast out to all fathers, to all your friends and family. And if you want to reach out, just email me at tearsofafatherpodcast@gmail.com. Without further ado, here's my story as a 27-year-old father of 4. I was 16 when my wife and I found out we were first pregnant. We were young, broke, and scared, but excited, still in high school, not yet graduated. I was working at Kroger as a bagger at $7 an hour. She wasn't working. I was living in my last foster home. She was living at her mom's house off government assistance. So right there kind of shows the structure of my life and her life. She bounced home to home, but always ended up back at her mom's house, who had lived off government assistance her whole life. And I bounced home to home because my mom and pops wasn't there, to be brutally honest. And it's going to sting if you guys listen to this. Dad, I'm sorry. It's just the truth, bro. I still love you. Mom's not here no more, and I regret never telling her how much I loved her, no matter how bad my life was. So, if you are a father, before we continue, if you blame your parents for the way that you are as a father, if you're a POS, then they're not the problem, it's you, bro. I say that as kind as possible because I grew up without a father, and even though I may feel like shit sometimes, I feel like a piece of shit sometimes, I feel like I'm not enough sometimes, and I should be doing more for my kids. I know I'm there for my kids. My kids can always rely on me no matter what it is. Even if I'm negative in the bank account, I can get my kids whatever they want or need because I'll go out and hustle and get it. There is no excuse for you to be a POS father in today's time. Let's get back into it. So, after we found out we were pregnant at 16, we were excited. It quickly turned to heartbreak when we lost our baby early on. Doctors told us that my wife's endometriosis meant we'd probably never have kids, which crushed us. We had always wanted kids. We had talked about kids. We were very young, didn't expect to have kids. But, life's funny sometimes. In 2015, we proved those doctors wrong and welcomed our first son, Forrest. What a blessing that kid was. And that is also when chaos started in the best and worst ways. When we had found out about Forrest, we kind of didn't know what to do. I got kicked out of my foster home at 17 because of it. So that means that we moved in with her mom, who also housed her other 6 kids or whatever it was. So it was like 8 of us under one roof. And man, I think I was the only one working, even though she had sons that were older than me. I was 17 at the time, so it didn't make sense. And that's also when I started drinking, because her older brothers were alcoholics. So I just felt I needed to be one too while Cheyenne was pregnant. We ended up leaving her mom's house, moving to Tennessee with one of her other friends. And that was a disaster. Because her other friend lived with her parents, and her parents were abusive drunks. So I had my grandfather pick us up in Tennessee and move us down to Florida. And in Florida is where my father was. I hadn't seen my father in 9 years when I moved down there. So it was an emotional roller coaster when I had gotten there. And, we didn't feel welcomed. Cheyenne didn't feel welcomed, at least. And it was kind of a wild ride there. And that's where we ended up having Forrest, was in Florida. The cost of living sucked really bad there. I mean, in the ghetto, it was like $1,200 for a studio apartment. And this is 2006, 2015. And a studio apartment was $1,200 a month. So, yeah, it was a little insane. Especially when the pay there was like $9 an hour. And I worked in a Fortune 500 factory for medical. And I was making $9 an hour. So, highway robbery there. But in today's society, it's about the same price. So jobs are paying more now to keep up with inflation, but it seems like the cost of living in Florida kind of stayed the same. I could be wrong. I'm not politically correct. It is what it is. So we had packed up, moved back to Ohio, back in, I think it was around Christmas 2015 when we moved back to Ohio. We had Forrest in September of 2015. Thinking it'd be better there in Ohio. We bounced from hotels to apartments, finally into a rat and roach infested dump that didn't last long. We ended up living with my wife's mom, but that didn't work out either because I don't get along with people who are lazy and don't work and have excuses for everything. Eventually, we moved in with her brother and his girlfriend, and that's when Nicholas came along. That's our second kid. That's when the real depression, anxiety, and life smacked me in my face harder than anything had ever done before. I had lost Nicholas and Cheyenne both at the operating table due to an emergency C-section. Cheyenne went in, got cut open, and they both lost their heartbeat. They both coded out on the table is what the doctor said. And about 2 hours later, I'm sitting there in the office, in the medical room, whatever, waiting room, because I wasn't allowed to go back. And I cried. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. I can't even remember who had Forrest at the time, who was babysitting Forrest. But I don't even know if I had a phone then. I mean, we were broke. We didn't have money. I worked for $11 an hour and paid half the bills of a house, and it was insane. About 2 hours later, the doctor came out after many, many attempts and was able to resuscitate Nicholas and Cheyenne. And that was a huge relief. It was a huge relief. It was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I have 2 of those. And then I had just thought at that point, God works in mysterious ways. Was that a, trial or a test for me to see how I would react? I'm not 100% sure. Through it all, we kept pushing forward. I worked any job I could find to keep food on the table. And we didn't just struggle, we made memories too. You know, I had always made it a thing to take the kids to Kings Island, get them Kings Island passes, take them to a zoo. You know, Forrest and Nicholas both played sports. Forrest started in football in first grade. And then in second grade, he started baseball. Nicholas started baseball in kindergarten. And it's funny watching your kids play sports on the field that you used to play on. Brings back memories from when you were a kid. Throughout life, as a father, you see yourself in these kids, in your kids. And you try to teach them things that you wish you would have been taught when you were their age. Even then, you still don't feel like it's enough. I know 100% that I've given my kids a better life than I ever thought about having. And to this day, I still feel like it's not enough. It's a hard pill to swallow. I kept grinding. That's all you can do is just keep grinding. By 2020, we had 4 kids. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. Money came in, but it went right back out. We rented instead of buying, spent instead of saved. And then our youngest, our only daughter, started having seizures. She was diagnosed with epilepsy. Suddenly, everything else felt small. I didn't feel like we could go to fireworks shows, even though the doctor said it was fine. It's funny, you know, you watch TV shows and how bad it fucks up reality for you. Excuse my language, I'm sorry. I beeped it out. But really, I mean, TV really does mess with your mind. It messes with your brain. It messes with reality of life. Because we ended up going to fireworks shows, and she does fine. You know? I was running on fumes, working and drinking just to keep going. I started pulling away from my family without even realizing it. COVID hit. As messed up as it sounds, that was the break I didn't know I needed. My job shut down, and for once, I could be home with my family. When COVID hit, me, my wife, and all 4 kids ended up getting diagnosed with COVID, and we still had a better time. It was one of the best times of our lives. We played games, watched movies, and just laughed. We had fun. We felt like a family again. Dad was home. It was good to be called Dad. It felt good to be a dad. The fun, loving, caring dad instead of the working alcoholic that I was. Through COVID, I developed real anxiety. I thought I was having heart attacks every single day when I ended up going back to work. Every chest pain feels like it could be the one that takes me out. Constantly fighting the voice in my head that tells me something's wrong, even when the doctors say I'm fine. To this day, I still go to the hospital like every 4 months thinking I'm having a heart attack, and the doctor's like, hey, bro, I don't want to see you back in here. You are fine. Get your anxiety under control, and it has been a journey. I have been prescribed about 6 different medications. The only one that worked was Klonopin, and little did I know I was not supposed to be on them for 3 years. That doctor lost his practice because of that. Because in that 3 years of Klonopin, that's when I was working my 80 to 100-hour weeks because I was on cruise control. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know what was going on. I was just working, and I don't remember many things. I don't remember at all. I can't remember stuff to this day, and I haven't taken a Klonopin in over a year and a half. It's insane. But I keep pushing for my kids, man. Even when you're at your lowest point in life, you have to sit there and tell yourself that even if you feel like you're not worth it, your kids know you are. Your kids know that you're worth it, and your kids need you, and they want you. Whether they talk back to you, whether they don't listen to you, they want you no matter what. Because at the end of the day, when they're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, and they leave, and they're broke, or somebody leaves them in a relationship, they need to talk to dad. Just know you're worth it, bro. Don't do that to yourself. Through all the struggle, there's been plenty of laughter and chaos. Kids are hilarious and wild. Forrest always keeps me on my toes, whether it was his goofy jokes or his love for sports. Nicholas, right behind him, always wanting to be like his big brother, but with his own little attitude. Then Granger wants to be like Nicholas, but Granger's got a whole different attitude. It's funny, dude. It's funny. And then you got Isabella, who's a character in herself. You know, being the youngest of all the kids and being the only girl of all 4 kids, she's one of the toughest and funniest chicks ever, bro. We spent weekends at ball games cheering them on. Summers at places like Kings Island. I'll never forget Forrest scoring his first touchdown. Nicholas smacking the ball off the tee and running the wrong way. Those are the moments and memories I hold on to when life gets heavy. I want to give my kids a better life. One way from the noise and nonsense of the world today, I've dreamed about buying some land and raising them on a farm, teaching them how to work hard, be tough, and stay grounded. I want my kids to be stronger than the generation of kids who fall apart at the smallest problem, who think everything's offensive, everything's racist, everything is boy, girl, furry, whatever it is, bro. I just want my kids to grow up away from this society, because this society is brainwashing people, in my opinion. Some people might get offended by that, man, and I understand you 100%, because everything is triggering. Everything is triggering. I can't say colors on my stream because I feel like it's going to trigger somebody, and life used to be so much simpler back in the day. And that's why I want my kids to grow up on a farm away from that. They can learn what hard work is, because these kids these days don't know what hard work is. Their parents are lazy, which causes them to be lazy, and it annoys the shit out of me. No reason a man should not be working. There's jobs out there. Anything will help you out, man. Just go out and find it, dude. Stop being lazy. There's so many lazy people nowadays. It's sad, man. You sit there and you scroll through Facebook, you scroll through TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. And you just see these lazy fathers, bro. Got kids they don't see, they don't claim. Now, I'm not talking about the fathers who have baby mamas that keep them away from their kids. I understand that. I understand that situation 100%. I understand why you can't see your kids, but you want to. I'm talking about fathers who don't see their kids and they have the opportunity to see their kids. But because of their stupid thought process of drinking and smoking and partying and doing drugs, you don't... Oh, man, that shit pisses me off, dude. I understand why fathers drink, dude. I don't understand the drug part. Being out of touch of reality just ain't it. I guess drinking is a drug, but that's why I don't do either of them. This will hurt you. I know it will. I know it's going to offend you. I know you're going to say something. If you create life, whether you wanted it or not, be there for it. It's easy. You don't have to give nothing but your time. Be a father. You did it to yourself. Be the father. Don't put it on somebody else's shoulder. Shoulders, they have two of them. Don't do that, man. Be there for your kids. They need you. Take it from someone who didn't have a father. I needed one. I still need one. Because there's just some things you can't talk to people about that you need to talk to your father about. You need to know, what would they have done? Why weren't they there? What was going on in their mind when they left you? Anyway, back to my story. 2023 hit, and life threw another punch. After 6 years at my job, I was making good money. I was making $38 an hour. I was a supervisor. All new management came in and asked me to step down. I stepped down, took a $10 pay cut. My wife was working at a manufacturing plant making good money, so I said, if I'm going to step down, I'm going to step down and go pursue a career that I want to be in, which was law enforcement. So I left, went to the prison, and at the prison, they paid a lot less than what I was making, and I mean a lot. So, kind of a dumb move, but when you want to pursue something, just go for it, no matter what the pay is, unless, what happened to us happens. And it happened. August of 2023, I remember it vividly. My wife walks into the room. I'm getting ready to go to the prison. And she's just crying. And I said, why are you up so early? Why are you crying? And she just hugs me. And sorry. She goes, Forrest has brain cancer. Forrest has brain cancer. A week before we found out, Forrest was complaining about headaches, and we took him to Atrium. And there, they had told us that it was just a upper respiratory infection. He just had a headache, whatever. But I guess what had happened, what triggered me was he was at school and somebody kicked him in his head. And I was like, you need to take him somewhere else because he's got a concussion if he's acting like this. He was walking in circles. He was acting very weird, And, I studied my kids. I studied their movements. I studied how they're acting. And it was just off to me. And I'm like, listen, babe, there's something actually wrong with him. I've had a concussion. We need to go get him checked out somewhere else. Atrium's lying. So she took him to Cincinnati Children's, and they did MRI, and that's when they found the tumor. My father was living with me at the time. My grandmother dropped him off at my doorstep, said, here's your problem now. 50-year-old man. I had absolute resentment and hate towards him. And I came out of my room and I grabbed him and I just cried. I broke down. I broke down and cried to him because I didn't know what else to do. My wife had left again to go back up to the hospital because Forrest was getting transferred to another one. I'm sorry. I don't cry much because as men we're told, crying shows weakness and we shouldn't cry as men. We're just supposed to strap our boots up, shut the fuck up, and go to work. And I've done that for so long that it's what I'm used to. Recounting memories like that really puts a toll on me. And it fucks me up. So please bear with me for a second. Yeah, so he was transferred to another hospital, and my wife had to leave her job to be able to take care of him and my other three kids. So I quit the prison to go back into manufacturing, which I absolutely did not want to do. But, working with murderers and rapists and only making $20 an hour just didn't make sense and didn't pay my bills, honestly. So I went back to manufacturing to make a little bit more money, and it didn't really help that much. We ended up still losing everything. We lost our house, we lost our car. Government would not help us because his cancer wasn't severe enough, supposedly. He went through 3 surgeries. One in the back of his head, they split his skull open to try and take the tumor out. When they tried to pluck the tumor out, it stopped his heartbeat, so they left it there and pulled some of it out for sampling. And then they went in through the front to try and grab more of it and didn't get it all the way out for the same reasons. And now he's got a metal plate in the front of his head. During this time, though, during recovery, his body puffed up and swelled up because of the pressure, was so bad in his body that they had to cut down his arm to relieve pressure, and now he's got a nasty gash all the way down his arm. It was hell. It was hell to watch him like that. It was hell to see him like that. And those images just play in my head every day. I have the other 3 kids as well, and most of our focus as parents has to be on Forrest because of that reason. He was later diagnosed with stage 2 brain cancer. The state does not believe that is very life-threatening and disabling. So the government cannot help us fund-wise. So we lost our house. We were homeless. We lost our cars, which were our transportation to work. We had one that kind of runs still. After 3 months of being homeless, we now have an apartment. So, life is heading in the right direction. And, during this time, I was always told, just pray, just pray, just pray, just pray. God's got you, no matter what he throws at you. He's just testing you right now. Just pray, just pray, just pray. And, I did that. because I couldn't be the asshole to go, praying's not going to pay my bills. I just couldn't do that. I'm not a beggar. I'm not somebody who can do that. I did ask for money. I'm not going to lie. And there were some generous people that did help us out. But when you're paying $4,800 a month in bills because you're making $2,700 a week, it's a lot different than when you're making $700 a week and paying the same amount in bills. So those generous donations went straight to what we needed, and it just wasn't enough. There was nothing I could do. I got my hours cut. Cheyenne couldn't work. We can't get a babysitter, and government does not help people like us. So what do we do as men? We buckle up, we shut up, and we go to work. You can only do that so much until your health takes a toll on your body. And my health has taken a toll. I am now diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. I've gained another 75 pounds. So when I was 245, when I was feeling healthy, I'm back at a little over 300 now. So, this isn't to discourage you as a father. It's to tell you the truth as a father, unfiltered, raw fatherhood stuff. Fatherhood is a very scary thing. You go into deep depression. You have nobody to talk to. You don't have friends. And, some fathers do. Most fathers do have friends. I'm just that person that don't. It is what it is. It wasn't meant for me, I guess. And, I've done podcasts in the past. I stream on TikTok and Twitch now. So, I'm finding ways out of the reality that I need from time to time to feel better about myself. I've started eating healthier. Still have anxiety really, really bad. I still think I'm going to die every single day. But I don't want to die every single day. That's the difference. Wanting to die and feeling like you are dying are two different things. As long as I don't want to die, I feel like I have made a change in myself, because there was a time where I wanted to die every single day. I'm not able to give my kids Christmas this year because of everything that's happened this year, and was just now getting a house. All my money went into this. And that's why I'm creating all these different podcasts and streaming platforms and door dashing and working, is to offset the balance of money. And although it may feel like I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week, I still have my weekends with my kids. I still can see the kids during the weekdays. Well, my daughter, not my boys. They all go to school early, and I work second shift till 12 a.m., so it's a little different there. But I still feel like I'm more of a father now than I was when I was making all that money. I had made over $500,000 at my last job at Magnode, Shape Corp, whatever you want to call it now. I have nothing to show for that. Barely have the memories because I was on Klonopin and drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes and unhealthy as you could ever be. So yeah, I do feel better now. You just have to be able to talk to feel better, man. I understand that talking is not your strong suit, and that's okay. There's going to be somebody out there that relates to you. I started this podcast because I know what it's like to feel invisible, to be denied access to things like medical records, and to pick your kids up from school because you're not the mom. You can't do that kind of stuff. I also know what it feels like to be told as a man that my feelings don't matter. But they do. You matter. Whether you're a father, an uncle, or just someone trying to do right by the people you love, you matter. Don't let the world tell you otherwise. Be there for your family. Be there for yourself. If you're out there feeling like you're drowning, I see you. You're not alone. Get back up. Keep fighting. and take your life back. Be the father you want to be. Be the role model to your kids. I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to me. I hope you take the time to listen to every episode, every week. I hope I can help you. I hope that I can enlighten you, enlighten the fatherhood experience. Although this isn't my full story, it's enough to show you that fatherhood is very stressful, but can be very rewarding. If you've got a story to share, email me at tearsofAfatherpodcast@gmail.com. Message me on Facebook at Tears of a Father, or you can get a hold of me on TikTok now, Tears of a Father. Let's build a community where men can speak their truths, and behind each tear, there's a man that wants to be heard. Remind each other that we are enough. Thanks for tuning in to Tears of a Father. Like, share, subscribe, follow, comment. Give me your criticism. Let's make sure no man has to go through this alone. Have a good night.